Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And I'm
Roach.
Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our From Season 4, Episode 5 reaction and review. And this week, I feel like we got to take a proper tour of the entire community. We got to see everything from Colony House to, the communities outside the town. We got to go to the tunnel. Oh, wait, all of this was terrible. This was a very, very bad tour. I do not want to be a part of it.
But it was still really cool to actually get through all of the town and all these different
Mhm.
things. I mean, they're even using the motel sign,
Yeah.
which, has always been a big question for everybody in the fromdom out there wondering, like, where's the motel? It's just a sign in a pool.
Yeah, that's always driven me up the wall. I mean, we have a lot of different theory stuff to discuss over the course of this, but I will just say from the start, this is probably the scariest episode of the season for me in a couple of ways. I mean, for starters, there was a ton of spiders. I absolutely hate spiders with every fabric of my being. Beyond all of that, though, I'm not someone who's typically afraid of dolls or clowns or any of that sort of stuff, but those like giant dolls just like rampaging around, like they actually did get my heart being like a little bit more.
No, there were a lot of really good scares in this, but for me, I mean, like one of the reasons we love From
Mhm.
as much as we do is the human aspect of it and all the different relationships. And for me, the top tier of this episode is Henry by a mile. That grief that he was going
Mhm.
through and that breakdown that he had really got me. I'm a former funeral director. I've seen a lot of grief in my
Mhm.
life. I've seen lots of grief on TV. But man, this really got me so bad where I was just like, I can't hold this in. I can't hold these tears in for this guy anymore.
Yeah.
This is just so tragic.
And they played it really, really well too, because I think if they had done Henry having a breakdown in the episode prior, it would have felt a little too
Yes.
sudden because I do think he is, a father to Victor. He knows that Victor has gone through a lot. So I do think he tried to keep it together as long as he could until he got to this point where he just didn't have anybody to lean on. And then it just all just exploded out of him.
I love that he did try so hard to keep it together for his son,
Mhm.
but that he went through a bunch of stages of grief
Yeah.
in this one piano playing, everything where he's got hurt, he's got anger, he's got denial. I mean, it was so beautifully written, acted, before I loved it.
And because of what happened with Henry, there's a lot more information collectively out there. And
Yes.
beyond just that, there's a lot more information that Jade seems to think that he has as well. But does he? Like, we're going to get into that a whole lot more from this episode. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We
Mhm.
are here throughout all of From Season 4, talking things out with you guys, sharing theories, and hearing your theories as well. We always love to hear those in the comments.
And thank you so much to everyone who's joined our YouTube memberships. We
Mhm.
really appreciate it. It helps us here at the channel quite a bit. We have more From coverage over there. We have some theories that are up right now. And right now it's about the man in yellow. So thank you again.
Thank you guys. We very much appreciate that. Let's just begin with Jade because this was a very, very big Jade centric episode. And I
Yes.
think the real question that's coming out of all of this is how useful and how trusted can all of this information that he got through his journey, like, what will that matter? I hope a lot, because otherwise, the whole, oh, it was just a dream story when this is the penultimate season of the show, like, I will be unbelievably angry.
No, I really hope that this trip brought him somewhere that is truthful. The problem is because this is From and this town isn't always honest with everybody. It's hard to know if Jade got real information about where the children are or if this is just a lie or it's all a dream because there's not that much time left to
No.
wrap the show up. Like we're right in the middle of this season. There's only one season left. I don't think he's going to have all the
Yeah.
answers, but for him and Tabitha, it's always been save the children. If we can save the children, maybe we can break the curse and
Mhm.
everyone can leave. But my tinfoil hat is that's only part of it,
Yeah.
is that helping to get the children saved or get their souls saved is only part of the way to be able to break this. I think that Victor plays a role. I think Ethan and Julie play a role. And we've got Tabitha and Jade that are playing a role as well. So even if he actually gets to all these slabs and in the
Yeah.
middle where there's this burial vault that he saw himself being put into, and he saw that the Angui children are in there, even if he finds them, is that going to be enough to break the curse? I think it's just going to be the first step.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We don't really know what saving the children actually means
Right,
or looks like. Like, maybe it means finding a way to free their souls, but it might
right,
not be as simple as just like coming into contact with them. You might have to bring them somewhere. And
right.
if you bring them somewhere, you're probably going to encounter a lot of different problems along the way. Like, this may be a map through the earlier stages of what needs to be done, kind of what you're expressing. But I'm, for right now, sitting here under the belief that a lot of what Jade saw is probably true, but we also know, thanks to that aforementioned man in yellow, like, knowledge comes at a cost, and there's a
Right.
lot of bad things that are probably going to come from the fact that Jade may presumably know all this now.
Yeah, that's the other question, right? Now that the man in yellow, Sophia, is in town,
Mhm.
oh, we saw her over listening. Does he actually know what Jade is doing and what is going on? She's off living with Sarah now and listening to things over at the clinic, and
Yeah,
she's not with Jade. So, how much does Sophia actually know about what's going on? Is the man in yellow, Sophia, actually all knowing while in the town? Because when I saw her kind of like listening in,
yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe the powers of all knowing don't work when he's in this form in town.
I hope they don't work. Like, I don't need the man in yellow slash Sophia to be all powerful, omniscient, like all these things all at once, because it's not as interesting a story. To
Mhm.
me, it's a lot more of an interesting story if Sophia is having to listen in here or there. I mean, one of the
Yeah.
things that this episode really did a super effective job at was showing, even in a physical form, all these different iterations of Jade in the past, all these different people that he has been, but because Jade has been here for what seems to be generation on
Yep.
generation, the man in yellow probably has a sense of, okay, here's what it looks like when some stuff is starting to go awry. And so even if he doesn't know everything that Jade knows right now, he at least knows what to look out for. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of where the dramatic tension comes, at least for me right now.
Well, the other really interesting thing that I think Jade figured out by seeing his other forms
Mhm.
is he was like, oh, every form of me was not killed by the monsters. It was killed by people.
Mhm.
That there are people in town that ended up, murdering these other, versions of me.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, my tinfoil hat is that the man in yellow and the monsters are not actually able to kill Tabitha or Jade,
Mhm.
and that he has had to make it that the people in the town, or he's got to influence somebody else to actually get to them, that there's something protecting them.
There's a real reason to buy into that fully. I mean, it obviously starts with what Sophia said at the start of this season, that this is her favorite part, watching the town turn against each other. But
Yes.
it also does justify kind of finding a way to bring people in over the course of time. And maybe these people who are being brought in are people that are chosen for whatever reason to be there because it feels like they are capable of doing
Yeah.
things like this and taking out someone who is really deemed to be a major threat. It's just like you have to ramp up everything to the point where they're actually willing to do something like that.
Yes.
And that is where I think we are left in this really interesting position now that Jade knows all of this. Because to me, anyway, the idea now feels like, all right, Jade knows a lot of this, but he also knows all these past versions of himself are taken out in this terrible manner. This is seemingly what the young Jade was trying to protect him against, that knowing all this stuff can be really, really bad. Because if he does go and tell all this information to everybody else in the town, at first they may be like, Yes, Jay, great. You're our hero. You're helping us. But then the man in yellow is going to come and take take a few people out. And then they're just going to be like, Jade, stop. You know too much. You're causing all of us to die. And that could cause them to turn on him.
Yeah, and that's where I guess my frustration has always come in, is that the people in the town
Mhm.
all need to communicate and they
Yeah.
all need to talk together, because it feels like a lot of this could be avoided if they were all actually sharing information. So that's like, okay, we know this about Jade. We know that information, is coming with a cost, but if we're all together and we're protecting each other, then maybe that knowledge won't come at a cost because we're all together and we're protecting each other in a different way.
Feels a lot like the man in yellow is just banking on this idea that apparently spans generations. The human
Hmm.
condition never really changes
Yes.
of humans are not fully capable of trusting each other and believing in each other fully. They're always going to think they're the hero of their own story. Their way is the right way, and that's always going to spawn this conflict. And this is now the problem because Jade could go and talk to, I don't know, insert any random from Red Shirt in here that you possibly want and be like,
Not Roger, he's dead.
no, Red Shirt Roger,
Red
you
Shirt
you
Roger's
fulfilled
over.
your purpose exactly as it was intended. But you can go to any other Red Shirt, Patty, who I also thought was going to die. He can go and talk to any of them and say, "I have answers. I got it. Here's what's going to happen. Boom, boom, boom." And they're going to be like, "Okay, well, how did you get that information?" Then he's going to tell them, and then they're going to be like, "Okay, are we really going to believe that you and your magical mystery tour ended up giving us all of this? Like, how is this any more believable than anything else that has ever been said to us?"
I'm just hoping that because Boyd is part of this with Jade, and a
Mhm,
lot of the major players knew that Jade was going to be doing this,
mhm.
that now that he's got these answers, that the small group of the main players are going to come together with this information and actually just go and look and see if, these kids are actually where Jade saw them to be.
I was legitimately surprised that everything was a dream, like, to be perfectly honest. I thought,
Agreed. I
yeah,
thought some of it was a dream, and I think some of it was Boyd was out in the forest with them.
I really thought that Boyd just pulled him out of the tunnels and like they made it down there. Boyd was like, "We got to get out of here, Jade." And I just thought that, I don't know, Jade passed out at that point and then Boyd just drug him out. But I guess that didn't turn up being the case. I like how they did it. It did give us that little bit of surprise.
It totally gave me a surprise. Also, let's get into the cabin
Yeah.
and all the seaweed. I did not know what to expect
Mhm.
when they pulled all that in from the lake. I was shocked at what it actually was. I thought maybe it was just a bunch of trash, maybe there was some dead bodies in
Mhm.
there. A bunch of dolls that were there as sort of like protectors of this lake. I was just like, is that what this really is? Man, it was a creep show.
Okay, yeah, I was legitimately surprised about all of this. And I think,
Mhm.
to me, the big reason why is that, yeah, I expected something terrible to be in the water. Like, this is from, like, that's the sort of show that this is.
Yes.
But we look at Ethan. Ethan has kind of been this beacon of hope, right? Like,
Mhm.
we're on this quest, we're trying to figure it out. I thought there was going to be some hope, some clue, some bit of evidence in here because it would indulge Ethan. And if you are the man in yellow, wouldn't you want to keep Ethan indulged and happy and invested if he is sending people down the wrong road? And this is where it gets interesting to me because that didn't happen here. And it feels like all of that hope could be sapped away from Ethan now. Maybe Ethan was actually onto something with this Lake of Tears and trying to figure things out because the man in yellow or whoever else may be involved with that they're trying to shut this kid down. Like they don't want this kid to believe in anything now.
Yeah, and his hope has been dashed. He really thought that this was he lost this bird. It's not the Lake of Tears,
Mhm.
but the Lake of Tears is still out there. I feel it. I think it's just not going to be exactly what he thinks it is. It's not going to be a literal lake, just like Julie with the I made a bookmark.
Yeah,
It's not a literal bookmark. It's going to be something else.
I still think the Lake of Tears is tied to the tunnels, and I still think that's connected to all this flood imagery that we had with Victor that spanned out over time. Like I think everything we've seen on some level is linked, but the idea now is like, okay, if you're Ethan, who's ever going to instill some sort of hope and belief in? Because what he went through in this episode in particular plus everything that happened with Jim. This is just like a lot of really awful stuff, like one right after the next.
And this is where I'm getting very worried about Donna. I thought that there was a good possibility that she might actually die in this
Mhm.
episode. I am very concerned that we're going to lose her by the end of this season, because the thing that this town is very good at and what they've been doing is taking away people that have a lot of hope and tie people together in a really good way, people that the town really cares about. And yeah, we already lost Jim, and that was really hard on Tabitha and the family. Donna and Boyd are like the glue that is holding these two different parts of the town together. They're not going to kill off Boyd, but if they killed off Donna, I feel like this whole place would just descend into chaos, because she is a rock. Like, she's not always the most mushy gushy person
Mhm.
out there, but she is a rock in this town, and people really depend on her strength. And to take away somebody that has strength like that will crumble Boyd and will crumble the town further. And I think that that's where the Man in Yellow is going to be able to come in and really thrive. I swear, when all those dolls were going around
I know.
killing Red Shirt Roger, I thought Patty was gone. I thought for sure, I was like, this is it. This is the moment. I've been really worried about a few certain characters, like Christy, who's, the town medic,
Yeah.
basically. Everybody really likes her. They're really connected to her. Obviously, Boyd. I feel that Tabitha and Jade can't be killed. So I was like, it's going to be Donna. I'm really concerned.
They had a holy foreshadowing Batman moment in this episode. Like the moment Ethan says that with Donna around, he's less afraid.
Yep. I was
I,
like, oh no,
yeah, I
please.
thought it was going to be this episode too. I'm
Yeah.
just now inherently worried the entire rest of the season. Like, here's the thing I'm especially worried about now, because if Donna was going to die like right away, this would have been a perfect chance to do it. I now kind of feel like, and I don't want this for Donna. Let me make this very clear. She's the heart of the town. I don't need to see anything terrible happen. It feels like she's just going to be taken out now in front of the largest group of people possible, because it's
Yes.
one thing to lose a leader, but it's another to have this person go right in front of you, and
Yes.
potentially to have the person responsible for it be somebody who a lot of other people in the town really, really cared about. And I'm just going to throw this out here. I'm going to be really mad if this happens. Like, if it's Sarah who ends up taking on Donna, and like, you talked a lot about Sarah and your frustrations in this last
Yes.
episode. Like, please don't do this show.
No, I really don't want to see that happen. But I do think if the Man in Yellow is going to get rid of Donna and really pull that strength
Mhm.
away from Ethan, that family, the whole colony house, I mean, she's such a tent pole for
Mhm.
everybody that it's going to be in front of people, so that it's like, oh, Jade has gotten this new knowledge. Oh, the cost is Donna. And because he's got to find a way to get everyone in the town
Mhm.
to turn on Jade and actually kill him, because it does seem like the Man in Yellow cannot do that himself. And it seems like the monsters are not, either they're not doing it or they're not capable of doing that.
Here's the thing that makes me extra, extra afraid is that we learned that something really bad was going to happen to Jade potentially, but then they also said what's going to happen to Tabitha is even worse. I don't know what that looks like, because I saw what happened to those past versions of Jade, and that was not great, Bob. That was really, really bad.
No, all I know is that we have this picture that Victor drew of what happened to Miranda, and we had the Man in Yellow was, eating parts of her. So, I mean, that's not great.
No, is the Man in Yellow just go full yellow jackets on like every single iteration of Tabitha
And
at this point?
oh God, it could
I
be.
really, really hope not. One thing that I did appreciate about this episode that has been a criticism of mine for a while is that Marielle was one of these people, like one of that trio that has been a part of all these questions for so
Yeah.
long. And we've gotten to see how it's played out with the others over the course of time, but they never really gave her all that much to do. And it feels like this episode, it kind of sort of started to change that.
Yes, she is a character that I've been really frustrated with the show about,
Mm,
because they brought her in when you had Christy and Kenny kind of maybe
Mhm.
something talking about traveling the world, having hope, and they bring in the fiance, and then they didn't really do anything with her. And then they had the big thing with the trio, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go. We're here with her now. And then, yeah, afterwards, it feels like Randall and Julie have really like come together as friends
Mhm.
and they're going on a journey, and she is still just going through the motions of like, oh, you hurt your foot, all right, come on in.
Yeah, it feels like she has tried to exist in her own sort of denial. And it kind of makes me wonder if there are two different things at play here. Like, number one is if you're to accept, I don't want to call it a power or ability because what's happening to Marielle is definitely not that. It's terrible. But like, if you try to deny something's existence long enough, like maybe it takes longer to come into effect. Or is this something where the man in yellow, the powers that be, can all kind of pick and choose when they want to initiate things. Like this was maybe the perfect time for all of this to happen with Marielle, because now if there are all these bad things to happen with all these other people, the clinic's going to be in disarray. It's going to be even harder to do anything about that now.
Yeah, I was surprised that Sophia hasn't been taking more control of the clinic
Mhm.
and really breaking down, Marielle and Christy. They are the only doctors of this town. Get rid of them so
Yeah.
that if there is any sort of situation, nobody can get patched up. Sorry for your luck.
Yeah, and it's also on top of that, like they're one of the only real like traditional duos in this way. I mean, yeah, we have Fatima and Ellis. Like
Right.
there are a couple, but it's like they had like a pre-existing relationship. Like they have
Yeah.
gone through so much together. So the idea then of trying to throw a wrench between the two of them, like that even further fractures this idea of trust. Like you don't want anyone in the town to trust anyone else. Like there's going to be some real problems with the man in yellow pulling this off, because it's like, how do you separate Boyd and Ellis from each other? I'm sure there's something coming up for that too.
Was there anybody out there feeling like, let me know in the comments,
Mhm.
that Mariel was actually going to see Sophia staring at her the way that she was
Mhm.
when this was happening to her? Because there was a couple times she looked up
Yeah.
and Sophia was just like staring at her, like very strangely and very intently.
Yeah.
That even if I didn't, if I was Mariel and I didn't think that Sophia was doing it, I would think something is wrong with her. Like there's something at that point suspicious. And I understand she was like
Yeah.
going through all the different screaming that was going on in her head and she wasn't able to focus that well,
Yeah.
but she made enough eye contact with her that I was like, is that going to come back around?
Well, I'm hoping that these phenomena, I think that's what we can call it with this trio, that there's sort of a good and bad with all of them. Like we're seeing that Julie is figuring out there could be some benefit to story walking, even though it also risks her life and all these other bad things happen.
Yeah.
If Marielle can hear all these different voices, and if she can actually like extract the part of herself that is just completely being tormented and
Yeah.
listen, maybe she can actually hear something that is useful. Maybe
Yep.
she can hear something, and I mean, this sounds a little bit cheesy, but is just sort of like, don't trust this person in front of
Right.
you. Like it, somebody has to figure this out, right? Like it would be interesting if it is Marielle, because all of a sudden, look at you. You have a larger purpose. You can really be a
Yes.
hero in this place.
Yes.
Where is Acosta? Like, let's just
I
put this
know.
out here at this point. Like, there's a lot I'm really liking about this season, but there are these storylines where is Acosta just still down there digging through evidence 2 episodes later?
That's the thing. They like finally gave her some really meaty
Yeah,
material and everything with Boyd. And I was like, this is so good.
yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh, sift through this stuff and see if you find anything. It's just disappeared.
Yeah, and like the other thing, and this is my other beef right now with this episode, is that we were so frustrated about what felt like Sarah backsliding in this last episode that
Yes.
this was a really good opportunity in this week to sort of show us that, all right, it's not going to be exactly like that. Like you shouldn't feel that way. We're doing something different and original for Sarah, but in not giving us that this week, I'm a little bit worried that it is going to be more of the same. And it's just like we have to
Yes.
stretch this out for as long as we possibly can.
I feel very convinced that we are just getting more of season one Sarah, where she's totally back in it again. I do not have any confidence at this point that she has actually made the turn that I felt that she did. I was hoping to have any kind of information or confirmation that she's really backslid or hasn't in this episode. And she doesn't need to be jammed in there. There was two really big stories
Mhm.
that were going on, plus the third one with Marielle, that it didn't need to have that put in there. But I just feel like now I've been sitting on this for 2 weeks and I've been mad about it for 2 weeks that I just don't, going into next week, I'm just like, they need to give me answers.
Please, just give us something. I'm very excited for next week. I'm excited for whatever
Yes.
conversations Jade is going to have because that was such a really cool and interesting story to watch play out this time
Yeah.
around. But that is where we are with From Season 4, Episode 5. Let us know what you thought about it.
Yeah.
Where do you think Jade's journey is going to go with the information that he has? Is all of it useful? Share in the comments. And yeah, if you guys want to support us further and check out our Man in Yellow centric exclusive From video, join our memberships. Thank you to everyone who has.
Thank you.
We'll see you here next time.